Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis. And today, taking a little bit of a break on my journey of discovery of the catalog of Supertramp, for those of you who are regular viewers. Today we are talking about one-track wonders. Now, when I say one-track wonder, what the hell am I talking? What do I mean by that? Back in the day, back when I was a boy, back in the day, the way it worked was you would listen to music. You'd listen to the radio, or you would hear a song somewhere. You would like that song. You would think, "Ooh, I like that. I need to track that song down." And you find out who recorded that song, and you find out how it has been released. Was it released as a single? Maybe it's just an album track that you've heard. Whatever, you track it, and you finally find, "Oh, here it is. This is the record that has. This is the album that has that song on it." And if you really like that song, you might be tempted to buy that record. And you would take that record home and you'd listen to your song, a dozen times. That's me adjusting the needle on the record player. And after you get sated from listening to the song that drew you to the album, you then listen to the rest of the album. And a lot of times, oh man, you like the rest of the album. The rest of the album is as good, if not better than, if not better than the song that drew you to it. But every once in a while it would happen where you would listen to the rest of the album and it didn't quite live up to the quality of the song that attracted you to it. You'd keep the album because you really like that song, but as soon as you got tired of that song, you'd recycle that album out of your collection. That is a one-track wonder. A one-track wonder is an album that you have found, that you have listened to because it had one song that attracted you, and the rest of the album did not live up to that one song that attracted you. Now, I want to be clear here. I am not saying that a one-track wonder is a crappy album with one good song. No. I'm just saying it's an album where you came into it with an expectation based on your affection for one song, and the rest of the album didn't live up to that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad album. It just means it doesn't live up to that. Okay? So these are our one-track wonders we're going to be talking about today. There are going to be 10 of these, but this is not a top 10. It's too early in the day when I'm recording this for me to be drinking my Schofferhofer. So I'm not ranking these. I'm arranging them chronologically in order of release. Before we get into it, though, of course, we have to do the subjectivity notice. Anytime we talk about relative quality here at Papa Nick's Music, we are careful to do the subjectivity notice. We firmly believe here at Papa Nick's Music that artistic appreciation is inherently subjective. The aesthetic experience is an innately subjective experience. There is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There's only art that I like and art that I do not. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's enlightening, it's educational, it's entertaining, it's everything that's happy and fun. It goes off the rails real quick, though, as soon as somebody in the conversation insists on being seen as objectively right. So I'm not making objective claims here. And I would appreciate it if you would refrain from making objective claims in your comments, which I strongly encourage you to do, by the way. The comment part, not the objective claim part. Okay, are we ready? Excuse me. We're getting into allergy season. Ooh, very exciting. I have, like I said, I've got 10 of these, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are I've got hard copies of. I've got them on CD. The other 4 are albums that I have bought in MP3 form. I've downloaded them, so I'm going to be doing some pop-ups while I go through here. And in fact, we're going to kick off with a pop-up. My first album is from 1977. Ooh, we're going back a ways. And it is the album Dean Friedman by Dean Friedman. There were a couple of songs that were released off this. One was a decent sized hit in the U.S. called Ariel. The other one, off the top of my head, I don't remember which one it was. It was released internationally. It wasn't released here in the States. I dimly remember Ariel. I was aware of it when it was a single in the late 70s. But I became engrossed by this song, if I can use that word, here just about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I heard it on one of the satellite music stations I was listening to and loved it. Dimly remembered it from when I was a kid, but really, really loved it. And so I tracked down the album, and I was expecting wonderful things. And the album itself is decent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying these are crap albums with one good song. But the only reason I've kept it, well, first it's a download, so it's easy to keep. But the main reason why it's still active in my list is the one song, Ariel. I really like that song. The rest of the album doesn't quite live up to the promise of Ariel. But my first one-track wonder is Dean Friedman's self-titled Dean Friedman. My second one-track wonder from 1986, we're jumping ahead a bit. This was an album that I did not buy when it came out. I liked the single off of the album, but didn't like it enough to go out and buy the album. I went out and bought the album on CD when it was reissued, mostly because it's like, okay, yeah, I want to see if the rest of the album lives up to that. I'm not normally a fan of this artist, although there's going to be a collective gasp as soon as I hold up this title, because are you kidding? You're telling me that the only reason you bought Paul Simon's Graceland was to have a copy of You Can Call Me Al? And yeah, You Can Call Me Al was the song that drew me to Graceland. And while Graceland is okay, I'm not a huge Paul Simon fan, so it's the rest of the album is largely but I do like You Can Call Me Al. So one track number 2, Paul Simon's Graceland from 1986. Excuse me. One track wonder number 3 is another one that it was released several years. It was released in 1990, for crying out loud. But I became aware of it about 15 years or so ago, and that is the album Goodbye Jumbo by World Party. I bought this album, downloaded this album, bought the MP3 version of this album, because I heard on one of the satellite radio stations I was listening to at the time the song Put the Message in the Box, which I just adore. Oh my God, I love that song. And so I got the album, and I like that song. Album's okay, but no, when I listen to this, I listen to the one song and then I move on to other things. So, number 4 from 1990, World Party's Goodbye Jumbo. Number 5 from 1999, I was actually attracted to this artist for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, he released a single off of the album that was it hit number 14 according to my notes on Billboard's Top 100. It was a pretty good-sized hit for 1999. And the other reason that I bought the album is that I'm a big fan of his dad. Yeah, we're talking Tal Bachman, excuse me. Son of Randy Bachman of Bachman Turner Overdrive, and I love Randy Bachman, so I thought I would give his son a try. And the album overall is decent. I enjoy listening to it, kinda, but it doesn't live up to the promise of She's So High. She's So High is a wonderful power pop song. The rest of this is competent power pop, but it's not wonderful the way She's So High is. So my fourth, are we up to 4? Yeah. My fourth one-track wonder is Tal Bachman's self-titled debut, Tal Bachman, from 1999. My number 5 one-track wonder The album was released same year as Tal Bachman's album, 1999. This song was released as a single, but I was not listening to the radio at this time, so I was not aware of this song when it was released as a single. I was aware of this song when it was included as the theme to a television show that ran for 4 seasons on NBC, I believe, called Ed. I really liked Ed. I watched it every week. And the theme for Ed for the first, third, and fourth seasons was a song by the Foo Fighters from their There Is Nothing Left to Lose album, and the song is Next Year. And I really like that song. And so I tracked down the Foo Fighters, and I tracked down that album, and I got a copy of that album. I have it on MP3 now. And I'm not a big fan of Foo Fighters. I don't dislike Foo Fighters, don't get me. I'm not saying this is a bad album. It's just the rest of the album doesn't grab me. But Next Year is a fantastic song. It very definitely grabs me. So my number 5 one-track wonder is the Foo Fighters with There Is Nothing Left to Lose. My number 6 one-track wonder. So again, it's like 10, 15, 18, in that neighborhood. Years ago, I'm listening to a bunch of different satellite radio stations and listening to largely adult alternative radio stations. Some other things as well, some classic rock and some classic soul and stuff like that. But the new stuff that I was hearing was adult alternative. And one of the stations that I listened to is the one that I heard Put the Message on the Box on. I also heard a song from the -5 album, In Rock. This album was released originally in 2000. This actual copy is the 2004 Yep Rock Records re-release of it. But the one song off of this album that I really love, the song that drew me to this album is a song called The Girl I Never Met, which is just a perfect power pop song. I love it. 2 pieces. And the rest of the album is okay, but I'll be honest, I've listened to the rest of the album maybe 3 times. I've listened to The Girl I've Never Met, hundreds of times. So, one-track wonder, the -5 In Rock. My number 7 one-track wonder. Same time period. I hear this song on on one of these satellite radio stations, and I really liked it. And I got the album and realized that I recognized one of the other albums. This artist is Alice Peacock. The album that I'm getting these off of is her eponymous Alice Peacock album. The song that I'm about to talk about was actually released on an earlier independent release, but it was re-released here. So this is where I know it from. The song is called I'll Be the One. And again, one of my favorite little pop tunes of the last 50 years. I really like I'll Be the One. I think it's a fantastic song. As soon as I got this and listened to it, I realized that I was also familiar with the song Bliss, which is on here. Mostly because it was licensed for use in, I think, Hershey's commercials. I know it was a chocolate company. I think it was Hershey. Because I think they were Hershey's Kisses. Bliss, Kiss, that, I don't care. But the song that drew me to this album was I'll Be the One. And while the album itself is decent, it doesn't live up to I'll Be the One. So one track wonder number 7, Alice Peacock's Alice Peacock, released in 2002. Next, number 8. Same story as the last few, right? Listening to these satellite radio stations, and I heard the song 52202 by Golden Smog that I very, very much like. Oh my God, do I like 52202. And so I plunked down my hard-earned cash and I got a copy of Golden Smog's Another Fine Day album from 2006. And I realized that I really like 52202. Rest of the album is not bad. It just doesn't stand out. But 52202 is brilliant. Well worth, as far as I'm concerned, worth the cost of the CD to get that one song. So, number 8 on my list is Golden Smog's Another Fine Day. Number 9 on my list. Okay, I had a shocker earlier. I think Paul Simon is a shocker. For me to say that I've got a Paul Simon album, and the only reason I've got it is to have "You Can Call Me Al," and the rest of it is okay, but nothing to write home about. I think a lot of people are going to push back on that. I think a lot of people are going to push back on this next one as well. Um, Again, the album itself was released in 2008, so it was relatively contemporary. And there were some singles that were released off of it. And I was aware of the singles. I didn't know them by heart or anything like that because I didn't listen to, as I have said multiple times, I wasn't listening to Top 40 radio at the time. But I was familiar with the work by this artist. But I didn't pay attention to this artist until I heard an album track played on one of those satellite radio stations I was listening to. The song is "Right as Rain," and the artist is Adele. I was familiar with the singles, "Chasing Pavements." I mean, you had to hear that at some point. But I wasn't that big a fan of it. It was okay. It's not like it repulsed me or anything, but the one song that I heard that made me want to buy an Adele album was "Right as Rain." And so I thought, okay, if anything else on the album, and I got 19. I downloaded it, which is why I don't have a hard copy of it. And nope, "Right as Rain" is the one song on there. It's the one song that makes me think of myself in any way, shape, or form as an Adele fan. I like Adele personally. I like her persona. I like the way she sings, and I think she is a gifted, talented singer. But a lot of her songs don't particularly appeal to me. "Right as Rain" is the exception that proves the rule. But my number 9 one-track wonder is Adele's 19 from 2008. And then finally, closing with an actual hard copy. In 2011, Meyer Hawthorne released his album "How Do You Do?" And I heard the single that was released off of this, "The Walk," and I really liked that single, and so I plunked down my money and I bought a copy of "How Do You Do" based on the strength of that one song. And while this is a decent album, it is not an album that I listen to with any regularity. When I listen to it, I tend to go to the walk and listen to that, and then, okay, I'll put it back in the case and put it back on the shelf. So my number 10 one-track wonder, Meyer Hawthorne's "How Do You Do?" And those are my 10 one-track wonders for this week. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that I've been horribly unfair to one of these? Drop that comment down below. I always love hearing from you. Do you have similar albums? The albums that you have that you've kept only because of one song? Drop that down below as well. I appreciate you hanging around with me today. If you enjoyed the video, thanks for that. Go ahead and click the like button. That would be nice. While you're down there clicking, you can click the subscribe button if you've not already done so. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it. While you're down there clicking, go ahead and click the bell for notification. The YouTube folks appreciate that, so on their behalf, I thank you. Thanks again for hanging around with me today, and I hope that the rest of your day is cheery. See you soon.